Welcome to Africa Insight. In this week's video, we talk about one story on the continent. That is, Reporters Without Borders released a yearly report on media freedoms globally, and things don't look good for journalists. For the first time ever, RSF have described the global media freedom architecture as difficult. The methodology is solid low. They assess several categories, including political context and legal framework that journalists face. Their scores start from 100 and go all the way down to 0, with 100 being the best and 0 the worst. For example, South Africa scored around 70, which is quite good, where most of the continent scored around 40. So why does this matter, Louw?
Because for the first time, no African nation ranked as good in press freedom. Only 4, Cabo Verde, Namibia, South Africa and Gabon, earned satisfactory scores. While there's no definitive correlation between democratic governance and business success, your more democratic countries tend to appeal to the private sector for their greater policy transparency, accountability, and ultimately, independent media. As such, the World Press Freedom Index is a useful indicator for business, but not necessarily something you would base a final investment decision on. But let's drill down into regions, starting with yours, Jervin, which has got our worst performer.
Yeah, I've got Eritrea, which is ranked dead last again. The regime of President Isaias Afwerki allows no independent media and holds the world record for the longest journalist detained. Did you know, Louw? Swedish Eritrean journalist Dawak Isaak has been held without trial since 2001. Ethiopia has remained roughly in the same position amid censorship and harassment, while Kenya dropped 15 places after corporate interference and journalist abduction during last year's unrest. In North Africa, Egypt remains unchanged at 170 with heavy censorship, while Tunisia has fallen 11 places as President Said consolidates control. So, Louw, what's happening in your other regions?
So countries in southern Africa were fairly static on the index, with marginal improvements noted in the lowest ranked countries, those being Angola, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, which all remain outside the top 100. Along with Eswatini, these countries have near identical scores of around 52. Mozambique's improvement comes against the backdrop of the volatile post-election period, which local media did cover quite thoroughly, but the government still makes it very difficult to report from the insurgency-hit province of Cabo Delgado. Zimbabwe also recorded a slight improvement, despite the regime cracking down on critical press ahead of last year's SADC summit, and more recently arresting a journalist for the audacity of interviewing a dissident war veteran, calling on Emerson Mnangagwa to step down. A significant drop, 13 places, was recorded in Eswatini, where a repressive regime has little tolerance for unflattering press, and where a lot of critical reporting is often still done from neighboring South Africa. West Africa is a bit of a mixed bag, but the situation is particularly dire in the Sahel, where growing insecurity and authoritarianism threaten media survival. Burkina Faso down 19 places on the index, has seen journalists conscripted, threatened or forced into exile. In Mali, regulatory bodies continue to fine or suspend outlets, crippling ad revenues. And in Guinea, down 23 places, licenses have been revoked, costing some 700 media jobs and silencing dissent. I think we'll have to leave it there for this week.
Thank you for joining Africa Insight this week. If you'd like more information on our products or services, please visit our website or socials.